Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our young pilots, ating mga young aspirants, aviation enthusiasts. Welcome back. From our last presentation, I was able to start, the question how to become a pilot in the Philippines, and we did our assessment. What is our ultimate goal? Whether you want to be an airline pilot or an Air Force pilot, corporate or flight instructor, di ba? So now we are moving forward and things will be a little bit serious now kasi being pilots, we are governed by uh, some regulations, and to be able to practice or to enjoy the privileges of our license as pilots, we have to comply and pass the medical examination first, no? So this time I'm going to explain to you yung or enumerate to you kung ano yung mga test na ginagawa natin dito before they issue a license to us. So where do we do it? We do it in Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, right in Pasay. It's along Old Naiya Road in Pasay. And for pilots, especially student pilots, they get the class 2. They issue the class 2 medical certificate for student pilots. And you know what? From that point on, up to the point that you become a airline pilot, you always do this medical exam periodically on a regular basis. It can be like 24 months, in the case of a student pilot medical certificate, class 2, or it can be 12 months for class 1 CPL holder or commercial pilot license holder, or in my case, airline captain, 6 months. Every 6 months, I do my medical examination. So why the disparity? Bakit ang student pilot, private pilot, 24 months, while an airline captain is 6 months? Every 6 months, I have to do my medical all over again. Well, ito lang it's my opinion na it boils down to responsibility. Just imagine, if you're an airline captain, you carry hundreds and hundreds of passengers, you operate a very expensive piece of machine, you have a lot of cargo, and everything around you are affected if something happens to you. If you're not in a very good physical state or mental state, So the point is, the authority, they have to ensure that these airline pilots are physically and mentally fit to operate an airplane at any given time, during their assigned duty. So, and the only way to make sure na we are fit is we do this medical examination every 6 months. Especially for us, we are not young pilots like you na you can say na you are still 100% physically strong and fit, while in our case kasi we can still say na we are physically and mentally fit, but then for so many years now we've been exposed to elements. We work at night, we work early morning, we lost sleep, we because of schedules, you get tired and experience fatigue, and all these things can easily affect your condition, your physical condition and mental condition, and can or may interfere to the safe operation of your aircraft. So in my opinion, the disparity in validity is because of responsibility. Di ba? in the case of a student pilot, when he goes for training, excuse me, he's flying with the flight instructor. So it's not a problem, di ba? Because there's somebody to take over if something happens to the student, ano? So there's another guy who will take responsibility for the student pilot, no? So to tell you the series of tests that we do here. So namely, first one, the eye test. Eye test is very important kasi syempre we need to see, things we do in the cockpit, and of course we need to judge yung ating height during approach and landing, so if you're having some sort of problem with your eyes, then that's already detrimental for a safe operation, so visual acuity, we basically check yung how far we can read, how far we can see object, visual acuity. And then the second one that we do for the eye test is the color blindness test. So we use this Ishihara plates, or this pseudo isochromatic plates. It comes with different shades of colors, and then you have to see and read the numbers on it. And obviously, if you don't see any number, then you have a problem with color. Especially the red and green deficiency. So what else? In other company or other countries, especially if you start applying abroad, meron din mga additional eye tests tulad nung they use this machine called the visual field analyzer. So you just put your head in front of that machine, put a patch on one eye, while yung isang eye naman naka-stare ka right in the center of that box, and then meron parang mga light stimulus na paisa-isa from the center, and then it moves like outside your peripheral, and then but still it's doable. Kung talagang walang problema yung vision mo, you can still see it. So when you see the light stimulus, you just press the buzzer, and then they do the test on the other eye again. And another one is the eye pressure test, and they said it's a good tool to determine if there's any sign of glaucoma. So that's how they do it, to check our eye, if there's any issue. What else? We do treadmill and ECG. So obviously they try to check on our heart condition. We have to submit the X-ray result of our chest, so to check yung ating lungs, ating respiratory system, if there's any history of damage or whatever. We do blood tests. They check yung ating mga red blood cells, white blood cells. They check our cholesterol, our uric acid, triglycerides. So these are all fact-finding. Probably anything that can lead to a worse case, So what they're preventing is that, if there's any pre-existing medical issue now, then they can determine it already na it's not gonna be worse, It's not gonna get worse, especially if you're already operating an airplane, So it's all fact-finding. What else? I think the easiest part of the medical is the dental. I don't think there's any issue with dentures. I still have my original teeth with me. But for people who doesn't, I don't think, having dentures or false teeth will be an issue to get to be part of the medical exam, for passing it. Another one that can be a big thing is hearing. So on the hearing test, they ask us to undergo audiogram, and this is like, you sit inside the box and you wear a headset, and then they test one ear, one after the other. So initially the tone or the sound is higher, and then they reduce it up to a certain point, and then of course, if you hear some sound, you just press the button. Okay, so all these tests that I mentioned, eye test, blood test, we also do urinalysis for our they determine presence of drugs or things like that. The treadmill and ECG, X-ray, dental, and audiogram. So altogether, our aviation medical examiner, they will ensure that the results of all these tests will be within the acceptable limit. You know, and if you have some sort of test that exceeds the approved limit, let's just say for your blood test, you failed all the parameters for your blood test, then they'll probably delay the issuance of your medical certificate and ask you to redo that after a certain period. No, one issue lang, talking about the eye test, is that an individual who turns out to be colorblind, the colorblind test, I would say, is already our make or break, towards our career as airline pilot. Because unfortunately, as per regulations, if you turn out to be colorblind, then obviously they cannot issue a Class 1 medical certificate to the person. But it doesn't mean you cannot fly. They can still issue a medical certificate, but you are only restricted to Class 2, which is issued to a student pilot and a private pilot license. So, and then also the restriction for that is that you can only fly daytime. So you will not be allowed to fly commercially and not allowed to fly at night. No? So that's a big thing with the color blindness. If you fail it, it doesn't mean you cannot fly, you cannot experience flying, but unfortunately, commercially and to join the airline, as of today, it's not allowed. So it's quite unfortunate for those individuals who turn out to be colorblind. So I suggest na you can easily download the Philippine Civil Aviation Regulations online. I suggest you download and read that, especially Part 2, Section 2.10, wherein you will find the list of the medical test requirements, and what can be considered still fit, and what are considered unfit. So, like epilepsy is included in there. Even environmental factors, like let's say an individual had a road accident, hit his head, there was a trauma. It depends on how much damage occurred, but as per the regulations written there, that there's a chance na baka hindi ka ma-issuehan ng medical certificate because of that head injury. So I suggest you download and read that for more clear details and specific statement from the Civil Air Regulation. And also, I strongly suggest na before you enroll to flying school, na spend a little bit of money for a general checkup, especially for your eyes, for the color blindness, to avoid frustration. Kasi baka ang plan mo, okay, I will enroll to a different bachelor's degree course muna, to save money, and then I will continue with flying. And then, nung natapos mo yung college, saka ka lang nagpa-medical, and then you discovered some disparity, there's a physical defect like color blindness, then, might be an onset of disappointment, hindi ba? So parang nakakalungkot naman. So I strongly suggest na, as if you really like to pursue aviation, but consider right now to have your eyes checked, you know, especially for color blindness, to make sure that you don't have any physical abnormalities, that can affect the possible issuance of your medical certificate. And then obviously, if you cannot be issued a medical certificate, then the authority cannot release or grant you your pilot license. So that's it. So thank you very much, and I hope that I was able to share something important to you. And for the next stuff, it will be more detailed information on how we step now into aviation, and probably maybe talk about schools. Okay, thank you very much, and see you next time.